beta patch version 0.106.0, and there's a lot of changes. There's some reworks to enemies as well as reworks to cards, and one of the main enemies that got reworked was Aeonglass or Aeonglass, whatever. There was an adjustment to Skulking Colony, and there was a big time rework of Infested Prism. So we're going to go through all of that and the rest of the beta patch notes. Let's start this video off with the thing that you guys want the most. It is the changes to the elites and the bosses. Let's talk about that right away. The enemies. So the first thing is they reworked Infested Prism. I faced Infested Prism several times on stream, and I'm here to tell you that this is a much more difficult enemy. It is an actual really good elite. So Infested Prism no longer gives you an energy when you attack him. Instead, what it has is all skills have Tainted 3, and Tainted 3 means that every time you use a skill on that turn, Infested Prism's damage is going to go up by 3. So Infested Prism is going to start with a certain base attack damage and get stronger and stronger as you go. Now, it isn't actual strength. It's only going to last for that turn unless I'm absolutely delusional and didn't realize that it stayed. And now every 3 or 4 turns, I don't remember exactly how many it was, but he's now going to multi-strike you, and you're going to have to deal with the fact that you are basically buffing him with every single skill that you play. So you'll still be able to play block cards, but they will be far less effective, and they're only going to make him stronger and stronger. I think after his multi-strike attack, if I remember correctly, I might be misremembering the order of things, but I think right after his multi-attack, he is going to upgrade his Tainted by 3. So that means once he buffs himself, now every skill that you play, he's going to be gaining 6 more power. 6 more attack damage that is going to be coming straight at your head. So Infested Prism is really hard. You can't necessarily outblock the problem. You're instead going to have to beat down the enemy quicker and destroy them faster. It is a very strong elite now in Act 2. I would say on the level of the Decimillipedes. Infested Prism was very dangerous and very hard to get through. And they also changed Aeonglass or Aeonglass. This was a little different. They adjusted the moveset, and they reworked Wither status and Withering Presence power. I did not get a chance to face this on stream, but I will tell you from my notes exactly what this does, because I had to look it up. I had to look into it. Every 6 cards that you play, you're going to add a Wither to your hand. Wither is completely different now. It no longer has Retain, and it is an unplayable card. So you cannot spend any energy to play it. And at the end of your turn, you're going to take 3 damage from the Wither. So you can discard it. You can exhaust it with Ironclad stuff and Silent stuff if you have that opportunity. You are unable to play it though. So if it is in your hand, you're taking that damage straight to the face. You can block it still, so that's really good. However, every couple of turns, Aeonglass is going to actually upgrade all the Withers that you have in your deck, in your discard pile, in your hand, and also add a few more to your discard pile. And each of the upgrades is going to add an additional 3 damage to the Wither status card. It's going to now hit you for 6 damage if you have them in your hand, and it's going to have more in your deck. So you're probably not necessarily going to want to have a thin deck. I don't know. This is going to be crazy. It's going to be dealing a ton of damage, and it will upgrade it again and upgrade it to 9 damage. So presumably this is going to keep upgrading and adding Withers to your hand, to your deck, to your draw pile constantly, and there is no way to get rid of it, and it still hits for a lot of damage itself, the Aeonglass. This is going to be a really difficult enemy. I think it's up there on like kind of the level of test subject now. Don't know for sure because I didn't get a chance to play against it. I did see fights with it, and it didn't look great, and it has a boatload of HP. I believe it had over 500 HP. So you somehow, some way, need to find out how you can out damage the Aeonglass without getting a chance to block as much, because there's so much damage that's coming in from all those wither statuses and just coming from Aeonglass himself. So it's going to be an absolute damage race. I don't believe you'll be able to out block the problem on a normal basis, though I could be wrong. Again, I didn't get a chance to actually face off against it, so we're gonna have to see in the next couple weeks. I'm definitely gonna be on stream on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern to hopefully, be going through, making it to Act 3 and facing off against Aeonglass and seeing how it goes. But this is a significant change to Aeonglass. It is going to be way more difficult to face off against. And you're going to have to like re-strategize the way you're building decks, I think, to be able to defeat this enemy. I'm afraid that the backlash is going to be on the level of Doormaker. We'll have to see about that. Maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but we'll see. Aeonglass, totally different. Let me know in the comment section. Have you faced off against Aeonglass? What do you think of them? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And hopefully I'll get a chance to face off against them on Friday. They also changed Haunted Ship. Ramming speed move removed. Now alternates between swipe and stomp instead. I don't know if that's a significant change. I don't remember what moves any of these are from Haunted Ship, I'll be honest. They changed the punch construct. Fast punch now leads into strong punch instead of strong punch leading into fast punch. Ready move now leads into fast punch and now applies frail instead of weak. I think punch construct was a little difficult for people to beat because they were getting weakened all the time. Now instead they're going to be getting frailed all the time, but I guess that means that you just can't block as much, but you can try and damage them faster. So I like that. I saw the change to Skulking Colony. It was very interesting. The HP increased from 70 to 75. And on the higher ascensions, it goes from 75 to 80. And hardened shell power increased from 15 to 20. You can deal 20 damage now per turn to Skulking Colony again. They've changed this elite so many times. It's just sort of part of all of the beta patches at this point is they got to change Skulking Colony in some way, I guess. Smash move removed and now uses zoom move turns 1 and 2 instead. It does attack in a different pattern. It is very similar to the older Skulking Colony though, and it no longer gains block, which is a huge change. The most significant thing in my opinion that changed was the fact that it no longer gains block. And the fact that you can hit it for 20 per turn. You're back to being able to potentially beat Skulking Colony in 4 turns if you deal 20 damage each turn. And it's still a difficult enemy, but I like the changes. I like the direction that I saw them going. Content and balance changes. If an enemy has vulnerable and a player takes an extra turn via Pael's Eye's Relic, the enemy's vulnerable amount no longer decrements before the player's extra turn. This change also applies to other powers that decrement at the end of the enemy's turn, frail, intangible, weak, etc. So one of the problems with Pael's Eye is that the numbers would go down for like vulnerable, weak, things like that if you skip the turn, and they fixed that. Then we've got Neow's Relics. Scroll boxes and Silken Tress relics swapped downsides and pulls. You're probably thinking to yourself, Silken Tress didn't have a downside. That's right. Now it does. So Neow scroll boxes no longer loses all your gold, and instead it is just a pack of 3 cards. I tried it and it was still kind of bad. Scrollbox is just not really that good of a relic from Neow. However, it's definitely better now that you don't lose all your gold. But Silken Tress, on the other hand, now you do lose all your gold for that first card reward that has replay 1. So it's a little weird. I didn't get a chance to try out Silken Tress on my stream tonight. I have to imagine the downside is not worth it. Losing that 100 gold is really, really a big deal, in my opinion. Gold is super valuable in the game, especially early on. If you want to go to an early shop, grab yourself a good card. But I'd have to really test it out personally. Let me know in the comments section if you have tried the new Silken Tress on the new patch, if you think that losing all that gold but still getting replay on the card is worth it. I can't imagine it is, to be honest. I was really enjoying Silken Tress with no downside. I'm assuming that it was really, really strong, because I had a lot of successful runs with it, and then they buffed it like 2 weeks. They nerfed it 2 weeks later, rather. Now let's talk about Ironclad cards. Buffed Drum of Battle. Energy gain on exhaust effect now respects replay and card play duplication effects like Duplicator Potion. I didn't personally try that out, so I didn't realize that replay didn't work on it. Good to hear that it does now. They also buffed Howl from Beyond. The trigger moved from the start of turn to the end of the turn. The buff is that essentially when you exhaust the card, it's going to hit the enemies at the end of that turn instead of waiting until the beginning of the next turn. It means like you basically played it on that turn, which is a really, really nice fix to the card. I think that's a decent buff. I don't think it's a great buff. I still do think that Howl from Beyond is not going to be really a good card. I mean, it is AoE, but it's hard to exhaust it all the time. They buffed Entrench, which is a card that you get from the event, the Trash Heap event. And it can now gain extra block from enchantments like Nimble. And then they also buffed Unrelenting, which increased the damage from 12 to 14 or 18 to 20 on the upgrade. I think it needed a little bit of a buff. I don't know if it's going to be significant or not. Next up is Silent. They reworked and renamed Follow Through. So Follow Through is renamed to Scare, and it is no longer a common card. It's now an uncommon card. And they don't explain to you what Scare is, but I got to use it a couple times on the stream. Essentially, Scare is a 0-cost card that applies weak to all enemies, and it exhausts. And the upgrade makes it not exhaust. I think this is a pretty solid card. There was a card in Slay the Spire 1 that was very similar, that was not very good. However, in this game, I personally feel like weak is so much stronger and so much more vital. So I think Scare is going to be decent. I don't think it's going to be amazing. I don't think it's going to change the entire landscape of Silent. I do think it's a nice addition to the game. I think it was definitely better than Follow Through. It definitely helps with things like tracking, which doubles the damage dealt to weakened enemies. Think that Scare is going to be sort of a nice, easy activator in a tracking deck, so I do like that. They also changed Predator's rarity from uncommon to a common card. They also buffed Pounce, similar to Unrelenting. It goes from 12 damage to 14, and then on the upgrade from 18 to 20. I think what they're trying to tell us is that those cards that are like Unrelenting, or whatever it's called, Unrelenting, Pounce, those cards haven't been getting a lot of play. Regent got some interesting changes. Some of them buffs, some of them nerfs. They first buffed Furnace to go from 4 to 5 or 6 to 7. If it's upgraded, that'll be the new Forge number. I think that's good because Furnace was not a great card, so I felt like it was necessary. They nerfed Minion Sacrifice. The block decreased from 9 to 8, or if it's upgraded from 12 to 11. I think that's a really smart change, to be honest. Minion Sacrifice is absolutely broken. Like, it is such a good card. If you have guards, you can just play that and transform a bunch of cards into these insane block engine cards. So I do think that it was kind of necessary. And they changed Sealed Throne. So Sealed Throne is the ancient reward card that is an innate card and gives you a star for every single card that you play. Now they changed it from being automatically innate to lowering the energy cost by 1. This is significant. I didn't get a chance to try it, but I do think this is a nerf. They're not calling it a nerf. They're calling it a change. Not being able to play Sealed Throne as the first card that you play in every combat means that it isn't necessarily the star engine, the star generating engine that it originated as. I'm interested in seeing how significant this change is. I'm assuming it won't affect it too much because Sealed Throne is really strong in general. I don't know. Not being able to play it as the very first card of the combat is definitely changes things. It definitely makes the card a little worse. They also changed Astral Pulse. The damage changed from 14 and 18 on the upgrade to now being a multi-strike hit card, which is 6 times 2 and then 8 times 2 on the upgrade. Astral Pulse was absolutely broken, to be honest. Like, this was just such a great card. One of Regent's best cards. It probably his very best common, I would assume. Changing it to a multi-strike card means that when you're weakened, it's going to be a whole lot worse. I think it's an interesting change. I'm looking forward to trying that out. Necrobinder, they buffed Death March. The additional damage increased from 3 to 4 or 4 to 6 on the upgrade. I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference, but Death March was a card that, like, I never took. I honestly didn't think it was a good card, and now maybe I would be more tempted to take it since it deals a lot more damage. I would obviously have to try it out first before I could come to like that dramatic a conclusion, but I do think that it needed a little more damage, so I like that. They also nerfed Debilitate. The debuff decreased from 3 to 2 on the upgrade 4 to 3. And I think that was a necessary nerf because honestly, Debilitate is like an insanely good card. Feels like that's going to hit co-op players like really, really hard because I feel like Debilitate is really kind of, I don't want to say necessary in co-op, but sort of like in a sense, it's kind of necessary. You know, we'll see what happens. I do think Debilitate needed to be nerfed a little bit because it was like super strong. Defect. This is another big change. They changed Fusion. Now, I think personally, this is a huge buff. They didn't call it a buff, but I think it is. The energy cost decreased from 2 to 1, and now it exhausts, and then it loses exhaust on the upgrade. For me personally, I never took Fusion. The cost was just too high, 2 energy for 1 plasma. It's not something that I really clamored for. It's not really something that I was really like looking to add. Well, I did add it, the new version of it, on stream, and I had a really good time. I think it was very effective. I think it was really good. I never got a chance to upgrade it for whatever reason. I was upgrading other cards and wasn't upgrading Fusion, but I didn't feel like it was necessary. I was okay with the exhausting it. I think it's going to tempt people to use Fusion, and it's going to change Defect up a little bit. They also buffed Synthesis, again in line with Pounce. The damage increased from 12 to 14 and 18 to 20. They nerfed Shatter. The damage decreased from 11 to 7, and then on the upgrade from 15 to 11. This is a totally fair nerf. Shatter was absolutely insane when they buffed it 2 weeks ago. Broken insane. I just think that it is a very, very solid nerf, and it's still a really good card. I was using that on stream, and it was still just very good AoE. It still evokes the orbs twice, which is an insane characteristic of the card. They also nerfed Fasten. Additional block decrease from 5 to 4 and then 7 to 6 on the upgrade. Fasten, also a very broken card, so I can understand why they would decrease the block there. It makes sense. I also used that on stream, and it was still really, really good. really solid. Potions and relics. They buffed Mummified Hand Relic. Now randomly chooses cards in a way that's more favorable to the player. Priority 1 is cards that cost 1+ and with a base cost of 1+ before any current cost modification. Priority 2 is cards that currently cost 1+ regardless of base cost. And then priority 3 is cards with a base cost of 1+ that have been temporarily modified to cost 0. If none of these priorities match, a completely random card in the player's hand is chosen. I personally don't think that Mummified Hand needed a buff. It was one of the best relics in the game. If I'm understanding this correctly, you can correct me in the comment section if I'm a little off, but it seems like the more expensive cards are the ones that they are going to prioritize, or at least the cards whose energy can't be reduced. Those would be the cards that get prioritized, if I understand it correctly. They also added a new Ironclad animation for his heavy attack. We saw that at the beginning of the video. They also added a Necrobinder cast animation, a Regent Sovereign Blade animation, some epic or epoch art or whatever it's called. They updated some arts. They added alternative phobia modes for a few different things. You can see them right there. They changed the user interface. They did some bug fixes. You can go check that out. I'm not going to talk about all those. I wanted to talk about the changes to the patch. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, go check out some of my other videos, man. I'm making Slay the Spire 2 content like every day during the week. It is a lot of fun. I'm streaming all the time. I love the game, and I know you love the game too if you're watching this. So subscribe to the channel. It's free. It doesn't hurt. It only helps me out, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.